My argument is that the tomb of Julius II is a greater loss of art to the patronage than the Medici tombs. Because, one, the Medici tombs, one, got more done, right? They got the library, they got the stairs, and their actual tomb still fit in the style of the other patron, right? They got Brunelleschi's style, more or less, but with the statues of Michelangelo, which is really good, right? He's a very good painter. So it still honors their legacy. It still shows the power because they're in their own chapel, right? Really. So it's not as big as of a loss to the patron as the Pope Julius II tomb, because his tomb was going to be a 25-foot by 36-foot freestanding tomb in St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter's Basilica is in a very important place. It houses the bones of the first pope, and Pope Julius, by him being in that location, would have been equated to the first pope. It would have shown his importance, right? And originally, it was going to have on the bottom layer 40 slaves. These slaves represent the humans subjugated by God, which are all humans. All humans are subjugated by God. This shows the power of God over humans. And other statues to represent the power that God has over the liberal arts and the sciences. It would have shown that God has power over all, even the Pope, even the most highest people. God has power over, so he has power over you. He has power over the art you make, and he has power over the things you study. Not just that, but the second layer would have included four statues. We get the Moses we see now, the active man, the active man, the contemplative man, and a saint. Moses is the only statue from the original thing in the end result of the second tomb, and it is an amazing work of art, right? The hair is so detailed. The from Vasari's account, we this it looks almost real. It was to the point where Jews from the city would gather around the Moses the during a religious holiday because it wasn't made from man; it was made from heaven. I mean, and this statue that should have been somewhere high up because of his proportions were instead put on the bottom row, leading to it looking stranger than it had to. While this is one of the greatest statues of all time, right? Not just that, but it's not in St. Peter's Basilica. It is in a different St. Peter's. And none of these statues that represent the meanings they had survived, right? Because originally there was going to be the god of heaven and the god of earth. The god of heaven cheers as they let the soul of Julius II into heaven, the most pious man ever. And the god of heaven is breaking down because of the fact that they no longer have this pious soul. And instead, we don't get any of that. We don't get the detail we had. So we get three sculptures that are not that related by not artists that are not Michelangelo. We get, instead of it being an open tomb, an open this is a wall. This is a single wall. We this doesn't just take away from the art itself, right? Because of course it's still a beautiful sculpture. These are still, but it takes away from the meaning that the family and the patron wanted, and it takes away all of this because he didn't have time to finish it. Because other popes got in the way. What Vasari said, the Medici Pope needed him to do this, and then they had to do. He had to paint the Great Wall and this wall and the Sistine Chapel. Not very well, by the way. All of this shows that this was actively made to happen, that no, the popes were selfish and didn't want this pope honored in the way it would have given him. This would have given Julius II the name recognition forever. This would have been considered the greatest piece of art ever, the greatest sculpture ever. And it was not. And Vasari claims that himself, and I think it is entirely accurate. Just because the scale it was the detail Michelangelo is good at, and the skill Michelangelo has combined, of course, makes this one of the greatest works lost to history. Not the and so that is my argument for why the Pope Julius II's tomb is a greater loss to the patron than the Medici tombs.